Hey YouTube, this is React City. I'm Jake.
I'm Rose.
I'm Nikki.
And this is Reactcast 3, 2.
Well, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Put an X between there.
Wow. Okay.
So last time we were talking about how we were going to be starting up solo leveling and other shows like that.
Yes.
And we have started solo leveling.
Yay!
It's so much fun.
It's so good.
It's
so
fun.
good.
Even from the first episode, we have all been super hyped. Like I don't know if we were just in a good mood or what, but like I remember the first episode, like everybody was like, "Oh my goodness,
What does that mean?
Yeah, it immediately grabbed all of us. So when that show first came around, people were talking about their expectations and what they wanted out of the show, and we got a lot of comments that were talking about how this isn't the deepest show, which is kind of weird because usually when you start a new show that people like, everyone's kind of hyping it up, talking about how great you're going to enjoy this part.
Yeah.
But like, I want to say like 5 out of the 20 comments were people saying, hey, don't expect a deep plot, but it's going to be awesome. So everyone was saying it's going to be awesome.
Okay.
But don't look into it too much.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't know exactly if that's a good or bad thing, but it was pretty entertaining.
It was, and it felt to me like there's plot. Like at least the baseline plot looks good.
Yeah.
You know what it might be, because this is a new release right now.
Yeah.
What if the authors decided to address that complaint, and they're like making the anime a little bit more?
Absolutely could.
And because I'm looking at the views on it, I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess it's a good show. It's just I haven't seen a show do that well since like between JJK and Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And Attack on Titan. Like those are like every time they came back, always did well. But like this is like a random show I've not heard of.
Solo leveling before
Yeah.
in the anime sphere.
Yeah. So it's very interesting that it's doing like so well.
I had my eye on it for a few years because I knew it made big waves in the manhwa community. And people were kind of like, I can't wait for this for a while. But I am also kind of somewhat surprised of how much of a good reception it got with us. But
Yeah.
I mean, now that you're seeing it, what are your expectations? Because I mean, I saw a comment that I likened to Dragon Ball Z,
Yeah.
which we like Dragon Ball Z. We watched all of Dragon Ball Super together.
Yeah.
And so we don't necessarily need a deep plot, which is I think maybe we unintentionally gave ourselves a reputation of needing deep plots because all the shows we watched have very deep plots.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, I see.
That's true.
But yeah, we can just watch a turn off your brain action flick.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to call it. We can turn off our brains. It's fine.
Yeah, I think the reason maybe then that people are pointing it out would be what you said, because we usually watch plot heavy shows because then we can discuss it.
Yes.
So if there's not much to discuss, then it doesn't make much of a show to us. But most people only come for the reaction portion anyway, so I guess any amount of discussion would make everybody else happy.
Maybe. I don't know.
And I'm not having too much trouble talking about it so
No,
far.
it's
Yeah.
been good. But then again, it could just be us reading into things that will have no application later
But I
on.
also enjoy that.
Do you enjoy that
That's
too?
fun.
Yeah, I actually enjoy it when you like shotgun like 3 theories. They're all
Yeah.
wrong, but I like talking about them.
Yeah,
I like talking about
exactly. It's fun.
So I mean, going forward, it would be interesting if the opposite happened, where the fans usually set up expectations so high that it's hard for the show to reach. So they may have set it so low that it's shooting above it every time.
Yes.
And we're just like, this is a great, deep, intricate plot. All these characters are very complex. I don't know what they were talking about. You know?
That would be amazing. Yeah. That would be fantastic.
Although what that person said kind of made me think of something that I guess I can have a Rose rant about later, is that maybe this is like closer to a regular power fantasy type manhwa, where, you know, the beginning is like super dark, heavy, and then you gotta like oh my gosh, gotta survive this, and then once you get the power, like basically everything is handed to you.
And those are a dime a dozen in Manosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this has to have made an exception in the Manosphere for a reason.
Yeah.
So watching this, I know there has to be something to it that got a lot
Yeah.
of people into this.
I agree.
I keep bringing up the art and stuff like that because I remember that was a big thing. People were talking about how beautiful it was, but I'm enjoying the expressions on people's faces.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if maybe this is just me, something that I look into too much, but the expression on people's faces when they're unique across several across animes, because usually in animes you kind of have a generic thing going on, and I feel like this could just be me because I've only seen like a couple dozen manhwas. I haven't seen hundreds like you. But when I see manhwas, there's like 3 faces, and then past that, there's just a little bit of a change in everyone's face. In solo leveling so far, every
Everybody
character
looks
has
different.
been very well designed. And I
was
feel
gonna
like
say
that's
that.
an exception for manhwas.
I remember when I first became aware, like conscious that there is this thing called anime, my main gripe has always been you can only tell them apart by the hair, the color, the outfit. Like if they changed outfits, so help you. You know, they're twins now.
Yeah.
So they have evolved a lot over the years, and I didn't even realize until you were just talking. I was like, wait a minute, a lot of the shows that we like, they are much better with this, where there are more characteristics about their design that are different, like their actual face. Like if
Face
they were to,
shape itself is different.
if they were to like put their hair up, which is like a no back in the day, you could say, oh, that's still Tanjiro or whatever, you know, which I think he's put his hair up once before too. Yeah, so that's definitely something I did notice in this show, where all of the characters are very different. Like even like the leader versus the scaredy cat guy who was about to push him, you know, like even the one that we didn't expect to go, fluffy hair guy, like you know, so. It was very, very, very well done so far.
I got somewhat reminiscent Hunter x Hunter vibes by the character design.
Oh yes, Hunter x Hunter is very good at that. Yes, especially with the tracksuits.
Yes.
I was gonna say all they need is like more special designs to their outfit. Their outfits look a little too like normal to be Hunter x Hunter, but yeah.
Somebody needs to wear gloves and that's it. That's all you need.
But yeah.
Yeah, I do appreciate that in this. It means that like just because we have somebody who looks interesting doesn't necessarily mean that they're probably safe.
Yes.
Like, you know, mortality wise.
Yes.
You know.
I even argue our main character is probably the most plain looking person out of everyone so far.
Yeah, that's true.
But again, that's a manhwa thing where they start out looking super plain.
Okay.
That or they are just like the most plain person ever.
Yeah.
In like the whole of the anime.
Yeah.
So, I mean, inevitably, there will be a transformation. I'm wondering how generic is going to be afterwards.
Yeah.
Because in every manhwa, they get beat up and something happens and they look different.
The scar on my face triggered me to be beautiful.
And then it disappears.
And then it always disappears. It always goes away. That's what annoys me about a lot of manhwa, actually. Like, there's no lasting damage. You know, it's like, oh no, there's a scar on my cheek. Oh, luckily this one person I met that I did a total solid for has this magic ointment cream that heals all scars. Oh, it's gone now. Wonderful. All of one chapter. Thank you.
Yeah, you touched on it in the episode 2, in the intro, where you're saying how you wish some of the characters showed the damage that they had forever.
Yeah.
Because it would show that this character's been through a lot and grown. And I feel like things like that are becoming more common in animes, especially like Jujutsu Kaisen, which just had Yuji get like a seemingly permanent scar across his entire face right there.
And on his cheek.
Yeah, and they're not
saw that too.
good scars.
No.
Like usually when they give a scar to main character, it makes them look cooler.
Yeah.
So like across the eye, and it's like, oh.
But these are brutal battle scars that, you know, it lands where it lands.
Yes.
And I really enjoy that about that show because it shows these characters have been through a lot.
Exactly. I think the first show that we noticed, or we pointed it out, was My Hero, when he ended up with a scar on his thumb or his fingers.
I think it was his whole hand after the tournament.
Yeah, and he still has them to this day.
Yeah.
You know, they became character markers now, but I mean, it was the first time that a scar stayed. Like, what? Next episode, it's still there? What?
And the doctor was like, yeah, your hands are permanently messed up.
Yeah.
Punch too hard, they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that kind of thing a lot. Like where the things that they do, it might not like kill them, but it actually matters.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like permanent damage to the plot.
Yes,
The plot has been dealt damage.
Like everything has to be like shifted around in their future because of this one thing.
Yeah, and it's very easy to just make it superficial and have them move on and no one ever talks about it or brings it up ever again, which happens in most of the cases. But again, in My Hero, you get Deku inventing shooter style, where he starts the kicking thing.
Yeah.
He completely
To work
stops
around
punching.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, and he knows most of his powers, like his, he can store energy and stuff, is based around his legs. Everything is based around his legs now because he doesn't want to mess with his hands.
It's crazy.
Didn't notice that part.
That's insane.
That's good.
The character stopped using his hands.
Awesome. Yeah, and then he got like that glove support thing that like helps him like do the little flicky flick thing. That's great. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so I have high hopes for Solo Leveling.
Yeah, me too. I like it.
I despite people's comments, I still am like, nah, plot. I see it.
Yeah.
Plot exists.
Yeah, I mean, I watch Power Fantasies anyway. It's
Okay.
great.
I used to enjoy them quite a bit until I got sick of and annoyed by some common tropes. But yeah, I wanted to bring up a fun fact about we just saw 86, right? So I was looking for fun facts for Solo Leveling and I couldn't find any, so I swapped over to 86 and I found something very interesting. So apparently, there are over 80 short stories and side stories written for the main series. 80. And that is not counting AU shorts. For instance,
Oh my gosh.
there's a high school AU, alternate universe, for 86. And also, Magical Girl Regina Lena. She's a magical girl in space. So there's a fan-compiled list of all of them.
Okay.
So
I didn't open it up.
Are these not made by the author?
They're made by the
Made by
author.
the author.
Made by the author. This author.
But I cannot believe there's 80.
80 of them.
Yeah, this guy's having fun.
Yeah.
Must really like these characters.
Yeah, it kind of made me think about this show in general as kind of being a love letter to anime about mech shows. Because maybe the reason it's so reminiscent of all the others is because he is showing how much he loves these genres and stuff like that. And maybe even Akito wasn't very original. Because I haven't seen a whole lot of mech shows.
Same.
So maybe it took after other ones. Because someone was saying that there's a lot of things in Akito that were genre specific, not necessarily Akito specific. So it could be that we're seeing parallels there where they're both taking from some other source.
That would make sense.
Maybe, I don't know. But I know I always wanted to see Gundam, never got around to it.
I for some reason, I don't know why, I just can't do it.
It's too long.
Oh, I have not seen how many episodes there are. I just look at it, I see a big Megazord, and I'm just like, no thanks.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of them. Like, when Code Geass started with it, I wasn't a fan.
Really?
Yeah. What
why.
saved Code Geass was the drama. I was so focused on not hurting from the angst that I
Healing your
didn't
wounds.
notice the Gundams. No, it's not that I hate the Gundams. It's just they're not exciting to me.
They're not a draw.
Yeah, and it just makes me think of, there's this really old cartoon I used to watch, which was Gundams. I don't know what it's called, but it's around the time I watched the Speed Racer show. I don't remember. You know that Speed Racer
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was around that time that show, the same era that other show was going on. I remember thinking it was so boring.
Are you sure it's not Transformers?
Maybe
It might have
was.
actually been Gundam as well if you're talking about an anime.
I don't remember at all. I just remember I can visualize like the colors of red and green and maybe blue. I don't know, of some of the machines, and they're going like this on the ground.
Oh.
So I don't know.
what that is.
It
must
could
have been
also be.
Transformers.
It could also have been
Power Rangers.
Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
Because whenever they did the transform thing, I was like, I'm checked out.
That was the best part.
I know, but I not I hated it. I just like that wasn't the fun part. I liked when they were talking as people. Yeah, I was in it for that part.
You really like drama.
Yeah, and the people fighting part. I like when they were punching and kicking and going, oh.
And
Stomach
holding their
grabs.
stomach.
Yes.
Only ever holding their stomach.
Yeah, I
They're
liked
getting
when they were
shits.
on the feet, on the ground. So whenever they would always, I don't know if I remember it, but they would always like defeat the big thing.
Yeah.
But then they would always end fighting the small thing, like whoever was in charge.
I feel like it was the opposite. At least because I'm a different Power Ranger
Yeah.
than you are. I usually saw them ending with the Megazord.
Well, I do remember that being part of the ending, but I don't know, maybe it's just because of what I liked. The part that stuck with me was when they were fighting the small evil person.
Yes. The human-sized.
The human-sized evil person.
Well, that was your favorite part. So.
Yeah.
But I do think as the Power Rangers went on, they did start focusing more and more on the Zords because I think that
Yeah.
sold action figures more.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I think I even had one.
I wanted to bring up this thing that we were talking about. We were thinking about adding 2 weeks ahead for elite patrons.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had any further thoughts on it, or if you had any reservations. Because initially I was thinking just adding the 2 weeks for the current insider tier, which is the $5 tier, because that's just kind of what I see as standard for seeing ahead. And I wanted to add 2 weeks ahead just because I feel like 1 week is good, but 2 weeks it seems like something you want to get two out of a show rather than just one episode if you're paying $5. But if we did that for elite patrons, it would make sense as well. I mean, I had some reservations about it, but when I look at it, we do have more elite patrons, which is the $15 tier, than the $5 tier. So it seems like people in general are expecting more, or maybe they just, I don't know, maybe they've just got money, and so they jump for the biggest thing to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
I was wondering if you had thought about that at all. Because I'm okay with giving it to the elite patrons. I'm also just very curious if you guys have any thoughts as to, I mean, if you are a patron of other channels, why is it that you go to the $5 tier versus the $15 tier? Is there a reason you prefer one or the other? Is 2 weeks for the elite patron good for you? Do you think that's a good idea? Do you not think it's a good idea? I'm just curious.
Yeah. My only thing that I think about that comes to my mind is the longer time between hearing comments. but it's lately, at least, I don't know, that the comments haven't been like, if we missed it for a little longer, it wouldn't. Most of them haven't been so bad.
So far, yeah.
So far, yeah. In the beginning, it was more like that, where I guess we were just kind of fresh to speaking our thoughts on camera.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, people would always be like, "Hey, you missed this," or "This point is important."
Yeah.
And it could also be the type of shows we're watching. So I don't know, with the newer shows, maybe we would see more of the need to be closer to time. But then, I mean, that's my only thing that I'm thinking.
Time-wise, I feel like I'm not a patron of React channels.
Yeah.
So I don't know what... I don't know how to answer the question, I guess is what I'm saying.
You don't really have expectations.
Yeah, I don't know what people would... What I would think I would want from $5 versus $15.
Yeah, I mean, personally, whenever I had been a patron for the Blind Wave community for 6 months, something like that. I don't remember how long it was, but I only ever looked forward to seeing one episode. So for me, whenever I put these episodes out for you guys, I think in my head back to that time, it was like, yeah, one episode ahead. I really looked forward to that. I didn't like the idea of being behind if there was another tier above me, which there wasn't for a very long time. But now, it's like, we don't really, like you're saying, we don't get very many comments that are pertinent to the day, really. So we don't really need to be there to read that one out for the next episode. So in general, I think we've gotten better at noticing things. But also, it really doesn't seem like another week would be a huge blow to the community, because I feel like early on, if we had done that, it would have been a problem.
Yeah, probably.
Because there needs to be some sort of connection there between now
YouTube
and
and
everyone speaking. But I think we kind of get that if we do live shows at the same time as doing the going ahead shows.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think it would be as big a problem either, because you technically every week you're still only gonna get to see one video, but you're just 2 weeks ahead of YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, I don't know, because like I guess on the one hand it would give us more time to stew on the things we already know, and the people in Patreon to talk to us, like it like for instance on Discord in the Patreon chat, versus being able to have to talk about it on YouTube. But I don't know.
Yeah, in general, I just would like to offer more on the
I agree.
Patreon.
I agree.
That's why initially I just wanted to put it on the insider tier, because I felt like that's an easier bar for entry. But I mean, there are just more elite tier patrons.
Yeah.
So it seems like usually people just jump there anyway.
Yeah.
So then do I offer them more? Or do I just offer more for the people who aren't here yet, you know, to get more people in?
Yeah. It's funny. I remember when we first added the elite tier, there was this new feature on Patreon to suggest a level. And at the time, because, you know, we just added the $15 tier, everybody was in the $5 tier. So Patreon suggested the most popular, which was obviously the $5 tier. But every time someone would join at $5, they would upgrade to $15.
Yeah.
So it's like, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
They're like not understanding the listing or something. So I switched it to recommend 15, and everybody just goes straight to 15.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really want to get into people's heads. Like, maybe we should send out a survey.
We should. And something else that's a big issue is we don't see the view count for who sees like the uncut. So if everyone's going to $15 tier, it could be very well that they're still just watching the $5 tier stuff. But we don't know.
They just want to give us money.
That could be the case.
Yeah.
Or they're all actually watching the uncut. But because
Yeah.
we don't actually see like a number next to the uncut post of how many people are actually watching it, we
Yeah.
don't know if that's the case or not.
Yeah.
I
think
mean,
it's
maybe there's a
hidden.
way to see it that we just don't know.
We
But
probably just need to put out a poll.
Yeah.
Like how many watch the uncut, and then maybe the options can be like, I watch it every time, I watch it every now and again, I don't watch it at all.
Yeah, we should do that. We need to do some market research.
Yeah.
Research. We
That's
need
what
to-
we're
We need
discovering.
to get in your heads.
yeah, because I'd like to believe that everyone's just trying to be supportive, but also at the same time, is it just that do people just not know better? You know, I don't want that to be the case.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the other shows, Oshinoko, I think I do have the feeling of how the show's going now. I was really worried about if it was just going to suddenly slow down. I'm just going to go back to slice of life, which I can handle slice of life. It's
Yeah.
just, it seems like sometimes you get a show, there's a lot of potential,
Yeah.
and it either doesn't realize that potential or it drops the premise and just goes back to being a regular old anime.
Yeah.
It seems like that's not what's going to happen here, because we immediately dealt with the director guy. We're on episode
2, 3,
6?
3,
3? Episode 3?
4.
4? Well, we just finished the episode where they were doing the acting with
it's
Sweet something.
It's 4. You're right.
Yes. Sweet Today?
Sweet today. Yeah,
they just did
finished.
Sweet Today, and they dealt with the director, and immediately already got the DNA results, and he's like, "Yeah, this isn't my dad." So the story's moving.
Yeah.
You know, so I
pretty
appreciate
good.
that.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's still it's dealing with all the side things, but it's not forgetting about who it is.
Yes.
Yes.
He's a creepy little guy.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any feelings about the direction the show's going or the pacing is taking? Because I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised so far.
Same.
Yeah, I was gonna say it and what's the other show we're watching? Frieden are kind of the reason that I'm so impatient with 86. I feel like Oshinoko is not like Demon Slayer fast, but it's moving like you said.
Yes.
And I appreciate things happening. I appreciate like the end of one episode was like let this go off with a bang, and we see it immediately in the next episode. I was happy for that.
Yeah.
And we saw it all the way through the end, and we saw the repercussions. I like what it's giving us. And then Frieren is like its own other child. Like it's probably the slowest of all of the shows, but it feels like we're going places, you know?
Yeah.
But I enjoy Oshinoko so far, and I do have hopes for it, especially seeing that it's like you said, it's not just slice of life. There's something deeper,
Yeah.
you know, and we're dealing with a lot of emotions, more emotions than I expected, especially with, like, for instance, Kana. I didn't expect to be dealing with that,
Yeah.
you know, that deep of the side character.
Yeah.
So I'm pleasantly surprised.
Although, like I said, she's probably OTP.
That's probably
I
why.
see it happening.
Yeah. You're probably gonna end up liking her more as we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've warmed up to her because as soon as we met her, I didn't like her in the kid phase.
Yes.
And then when she returned the second time, it was like, who is this weirdo and why is she bothering this guy so much, like following him around?
Yeah.
But now after seeing how much heart she put into that show and seeing how much she just wants everything to go well, and also she's got a lot of problems with her own career, but she's trying and she's being genuine. She's not being snaky about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, you know what, you can stay around. I like it.
Yeah, I agree. And all I need for this to not be bad is for them to grow up a little more.
Yeah.
Because we met him as a full-grown
Oh yeah.
adult.
What always ends up happening is that it's a one-sided crush until like
He's old enough.
18th birthday, pretty much. As soon as we're clear, he's gonna start blushing. That's usually how it happens.
On his 18th birthday, she shows in the door.
On her 18th.
Her
Hers. That's the problem.
Oh, it's not his. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just looks at her and is like, oh, you are a woman.
Exactly what they say. No, I'm kidding.
You got me there. You got me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird, but I mean, there's also a lot of little things that are weird in that show. For instance, the high schoolers are pinup models.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Like, I know pinup models aren't necessarily sexual, but the implication is there because the whole point is to pin it up on the wall, and they pointed out the bust, and it's just like, how old are you?
Yeah, that was kind of weird. I was like, wait.
I wonder if this is. I can't tell. Is this a cultural difference that we don't know about?
I think it actually is.
It must
I've
be.
thought about it because like some of the things that they say sometimes in other animes about high schoolers, I'm just like, is this a thing? Is this
Oh,
a
dear.
thing that I'm missing here? Is this a thing that I would like to continue to miss? Hello?
Yeah, in general, I get the feeling that the scandal age is more acceptable. Like, for instance, an 18-year-old girl can get with like a 40-year-old guy, but people look at it weird. I think that age thing is still there in the East, but it goes down to maybe 16.
Oh, that would
So
make sense.
It's the same scandal, but it's just
a lower
not-
age.
For us, it's like, that's illegal, you're going to jail. For them, it's just like, it's like 18 kind of thing.
That would make sense.
That's the impression I've gotten. I don't know if that's actually
Yeah.
the case, because it's also entirely possible that animes, you know, they're fantasies,
Yes.
and they're in general written for males. So it could have just been that this is just a trope that never stopped.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Just as soon as you hit high school, you're an adult.
The pinup model thing was crazy, though.
It was
That was
crazy.
crazy.
That was wild. Yeah. And we got 2 of them in the school.
Yeah, I thought it was the same person at first, but I was like, no, there's
No,
two.
so they made their hairs wildly different on purpose, like so you don't miss it.
And they got into school for that.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is a whole career.
I was just thinking, I was trying to think that no, that couldn't be the case, and they got in and then got into the agency. But no, you're right.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
were in an agency first.
And imagine she's like on the path to become a model, and this is like a step in the way.
Maybe.
But
Probably.
Hopefully she's going to be a model. But because I mean, they do hint at darker things in this show because they did talk about how like most of the idols don't make it, and they end up being like basically escorts. Not basically, they become escorts, high-end escorts. So it could just be another thing where like, yeah, that's a fact of life. This absolutely happens to some people. Maybe this is the direction she's going right now, but it's not going anywhere nice.
Yeah.
So it could just be they're just saying that.
Yeah.
And they're just moving on. But
Yeah.
but I'd like to think that if she's in high school, she's doing this because she believes there's a career there.
Yeah.
So there's like, it's not meant to be a dark thing. It's like, no, she's just becoming a model.
Right.
I think is the direction
Right.
they're taking it.
I
Right.
hope so.
Or just hope to be like much like people who are trying to become idols. They just hope that they make it.
Yeah.
But
And you had mentioned like sometimes they scout them as young, like maybe like middle schoolers. So, I mean, everyone knows if it doesn't work out. And
where you gonna go?
Yeah.
yeah. I can't imagine like sending your kid to do that, knowing that's a possibility.
Yeah.
But options.
Oh, I guess.
Especially if your child's money is retiring you to the countryside. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Oh, yeah. That's what happened to Kana.
What the heck? I was
Although,
thinking about
I
it. I'm
don't-
like, either she came from a rich
That's what I'm
family,
wondering.
or she made the money and they retired to the countryside. Like, that's very possible.
I'm pretty sure that maybe they just had their own careers that were doing well. That's all I can think.
Yeah, but that
I don't.
that
they
like
didn't
is
imply,
Western thinking, maybe.
but they didn't imply that their daughter is what
True.
retired them.
True, but maybe it's understood.
I feel like it has to be their careers because how is it that she's still living on her savings and they
On her
retired off of her
savings.
from just a couple films?
I guess that's true.
Yeah, and also like in Japan, the countryside is way less expensive to live in. So, I mean, could be possible.
Yeah.
I mean, it always sounds nice, but I wonder what it's like.
Countryside living.
Yeah, because I mean, nowadays, you know, if you think retirement, a lot of people used to think, you know, looking over, I don't know, either a ranch or a beach, and you just occasionally go out to the city to get food and you come back. But nowadays, I'm thinking, I ain't retiring anywhere with no bad internet.
Yeah, I know. I need internet.
Like, hell no. Build a
Suburbs
tower
is where
next
it's
to
at.
my house.
Next, ruin the property value.
Suburbs is where it's at, man.
That's suburbs for you.
I like where we live is a suburb.
It's somewhat expensive.
I like suburbs. I don't care if it's expensive because it's not a city. Because I hate the loud, bustly people everywhere. But it's still convenient. There's like supermarkets nearby. You know, I don't have to drive for an hour to go get milk. You know,
Yeah.
or to see a neighbor.
I like suburbs that are closer to rural areas because I really don't like cities. Like I'm not into urban living.
So suburban.
Suburban, yes. Suburban.
I agree.
Yes.
Closer towards quiet.
Yes, I'm
Because
about that.
that's one of the things I like about suburbs is that it's quiet. Like the most you hear, like if you hear a beep like that, it's like, how dare you?
Yeah,
This is a quiet neighborhood.
yeah. It becomes Karen suddenly. Yes, but I also like the closest to rural because you get more land space.
Yes, and we're about that.
Yeah, like land.
Yeah, even if I don't use it, I like the idea of having a big yard.
Yes.
Yes.
It's just nice to have it.
I
Yeah.
want
Just go stand
13
and stare at it.
acres
13 acres.
to do nothing.
You see, I would like rural more, but I also really don't like the idea of going out at night and seeing some glowing eyes. I just don't like the idea of knowing that in my area there are larger than a dog animals that you might run into. Like they're not dangerous or anything, but you might run into. No, hell no.
No,
I'm not living here.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, where we are, there's occasional bear sightings, and the bears are very skittish. They run away from you all the time, but I don't want to see a bear.
Yeah.
But
No
even
thanks.
that, those bird sightings are like 20-30 minutes away.
Yeah. It's like, what do you mean we're safe?
That's not what she meant. That's not what she meant.
Moose?
Oh, hell no. Those things are dangerous.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you see a male moose, they might charge you just because you looked at them funny.
Oh, really? Are they that aggressive?
They're very
Why
they're
does everybody?
territorial.
Why does everybody think they're so friendly?
They look cuddly.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do.
It's literally the meme of, if not friend, why friendship?
Basically, polar bears be like.
I mean, I also wanted to talk about Frieren real quick.
Oh, yeah.
So you were talking about how it's slower, but it feels like stuff happens, and I feel like it does an excellent job of characterization, even when nothing happens plot wise. Because they just arrived to, like, the city that last episode with Stark, right? Nothing happened aside from them showing up to the city, realizing they can leave anytime they want, and leaving.
Yes.
But that entire time is filled up with Stark dealing with Fern, realizing her personality, Fern,
And vice versa.
realizing that maybe there's a miscommunication going on here. The characters themselves don't really realize it yet, but we as an audience can see maybe Fern is not intending to be so cold towards Stark, but she's got so much on her mind that she's just not expressing.
Yeah.
And then we learn about Stark's background. We learn about how Frieren knew more about Stark than she let on again, and we learn about, hey, maybe these things will become an issue in the future. How about how we don't know what Stark and Eisen were arguing about.
Yeah.
We don't know what Stark thinks about Fern. Like, maybe he's just annoyed with her right now, but maybe it'll become a big argument later. There's so much that you can read from that episode, but nothing plot-wise happened in terms of movements.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, it's like they're giving us all these secret hidden candies behind their backs. Like, see this and eat this and this and this and this.
Yes.
You know, it's pretty cool. It's that I really enjoy this show. Like, I think I don't remember when we mentioned it, but like the atmosphere that the music creates, I feel like I want to like use that for study music. It's so relaxing, and it just makes you feel like I want to go out there and walk around and fight bad guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, you know how people are like, oh, you know, we're by the seaside, let's go for a while. I'm like, no, thank you. But like, if I was there, I'd be like, yes. Let's go look at sparkling water.
Yeah. Normally, when you see a world that you kind of want to visit, it's an action-y world where everyone is a fighter or whatever. But this just seems like a nice, cozy land, even though it's constantly telling you it's not.
Yes, I was gonna say that. That's why I was like, I want to fight some bad guys because obviously they're encountering things. That's one of my questions I had for the next episodes. Like, we know that they're bad guys where they're going. How much of it are we gonna see? Because I think they insinuated before in previous episodes that they kind of have to fight things along the way, but we never saw them fight anything except that one time when Eisen like bops it with a stick.
Bops the dog with the stick.
So it's like, I know
And
that's
the dragon,
not
though.
but that was like a whole episode. That was a focus.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about like, by the way, we have to fight this thing. Like, not the focus fights.
Although I feel like it kind of like implied to us that there's a lot of this journey that we haven't seen because we didn't get to see Fern
Her first fight.
the first time it
That's
happened.
true.
It was just like we only saw it because of the
Flashback.
flashback and stuff.
That's true. Yeah, that's what I was saying is for this upcoming section, like how much of the fighting are we going to see? Because it really doesn't seem to be a show about. It's not about fighting.
Yeah.
You know, it's about something completely different, and we just happen to have to fight along the way.
Pretty much.
And if there's an interesting fight where there's character development, we'll tell you that one. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting.
And it's funny how we deal with a character whose time is dilated and we constantly just jump ahead in the previous episodes, right? But now, everything that's important that happened story-wise, it's been 1 year. Nothing has advanced past that year so far.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened to these characters.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if this entire season is just going to be that 1 year. And then next season is another year. And by the end of it, we're going to feel like so much time has passed with Fern. I mean, Frieren's just like, yeah, that was a nice walk. That's
Yeah.
all it is.
Yes.
Like, to give the audience the feeling that her party had.
Yeah.
You don't feel anything about that whole journey, which you will.
Yeah.
But we'll see that disconnect there again.
I think so. That you might be right. That's probably what's happening. Because I kept wondering, like, why is it still year 28?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why they keep
Like,
bringing it up.
I mean, it's so easy to just make it year 29 right now. Like, grow them up a little bit. But because look how much with the first time jump with Fern, when we just got Fern, look how tall she became. Like, she's taller than her already.
Yeah.
So too much time skip is going to be too much of their lives passing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of felt like maybe what they did is like initially we've been following Frieren, right? And then once we got Fern, we kind of like handed how time passes to Fern. So now things are taking longer and all of that, and we're like the random aside journeys. It feels like it's taking up time because it's actually taking up time for Fern. And maybe like at some other point we're gonna give it back to Frieren, and then it's gonna like speed up, and then we just keep having that juxtaposition of time passing.
It'd be such it'd be such whiplash, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just suddenly, everyone's old.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And for her, nothing's changed.
Yeah. Because that's what technically probably for the characters, like, it's just when we started the show is technically what happened. Like, one moment they're young, she goes away and comes back, and now they're old. So probably like whenever our journey with Fern is done, it's just gonna be like, now she's old. had kids with Stark.
The OTP
You
is
know, I'm
established.
wondering if that's going to happen.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, usually they try to do some sort of hints between the characters, but it could just be like throwing us off where this isn't the OTP, like they meet someone else down the road. Maybe it's going to do the thing where life doesn't always work out the way you'd think it would.
like
they
maybe
both separate or something.
Maybe Frieren expects it and just like, no.
Maybe she, like 10 years later, she's like, oh, I thought you would have ended up with Stark. What? Where's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because the whole time she's just like disdainfully looking at
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw a comment that I found interesting about it is how Stark one-shot that dragon, pretty much.
Yeah.
And Fern and Frieren bounced off it with their shots, and they're thinking, is he just like stronger than them?
Oh
But
no,
there's
Fern bounced off. Yeah.
But then someone was saying, well, it's also possible that because it was a dragon, and magical dragon, that is more resistant to magic. So maybe in that case, physical weapons is specifically what you need to deal with something like that.
Hence why Dragon was like, I shan't.
I shan't deal with this.
You are not magic. You are not easy.
Yeah, and I'm really curious if we're ever going to see where these things come from. Do they just spawn into existence? Because I can't imagine
There's just like a dragon lair.
for 4 years, right next to the village, and just never attacked.
Oh no, I think this one just came here for some reason. Like, you know,
But
like
it
probably it was a
stays.
wandering. Yeah, the fact that it stayed, but maybe it just likes the spot. You know, it feels warm and cozy.
That's possible. That's entirely possible.
Because it's like a big old open cavern, like just in the ground. So it's like the wind's not blowing on it. It's nice and cozy, and nobody's gonna come bother it except for Fern
Yes.
and Frieden.
Yes.
I mean, there were adventurous stuff in there, so it's been eaten.
Yeah, it's been collecting. It made a home for itself.
Yeah.
So Rose Rents.
Yeah. So the thing that I brought up earlier, my qualm with power fantasies,
Ah,
was like I really enjoy power fantasies. I really like, you know, I've mentioned this before, starting from the really low and then just like climbing to the top and overcoming and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But the thing is, I'm watching one right now called the Lord's Youngest Son is a Player, where basically is not that kind of player.
Okay.
He's a gaming
The
player.
names.
Okay.
Where he's a gamer for this VR thing world. He gets he dies while he's in the game, and then he ends up waking up as one of the characters, one of the NPCs' sons, but like before the world of the game starts. But the area that they're in ends up getting destroyed. So he's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die. So he's like trying to figure out how to save the place and whatever. But like basically everything is getting handed to him. Like he starts at the character that he wakes up in is like super weak. Nobody expects anything from him. But at the same time, he just works out a whole bunch, and then he finds like a library, buys all of the books, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm like." He still learns things like regular game mechanic skills.
Oh, so he just has to like go like this, go.
And yeah, basically. So like everything is being handed to him, and he also knows where all the good loot and stuff is because he was a
game
gamer
player
before,
Yeah.
and he was like one of the best players in the country.
Of course.
oh my goodness.
So he knows how to min-max everything. And then of course he finds like one of the super rare like legendary items that like all the players of the world like wants, but like they can't because only NPCs can use them. But like, oh no, but he's an NPC now. Oh, so he can use this item.
Okay.
And I'm just like, everything is being too. It's just a bit too much.
Okay.
And
Too much power, fans.
too much power. Like any.
Unrealistic.
Well, I mean, it's supposed to be
Completely unrealistic.
but it's unrealistic to the point where I'm like, nothing, like even though somebody in like next to him is being like, oh no, how are we going to pass this insurmountable obstacle, I'm just like, I'm not worried anymore. You've taken away all of my suspense.
I
basically.
see. There's no cliff hanging off.
Yes.
This happening.
None whatsoever. I'm just
Yeah.
not worried anymore. I want to feel some suspense.
Yeah.
But I want to feel like maybe we can get around this. You know, I want to feel the hopefulness, not just like, oh well, let me just crush this ant real quick and then keep walking.
That's what ReZero did really well.
Yes.
Is it added psychological worries, because even if Subaru was able to figure out a situation, there's no telling that he could save everyone in the
Yes.
situation.
Yes.
And he himself isn't a particularly strong person as
No.
well. So I think you really need a grounding force, and that grounding force, it could be characters around you. It could be the other characters are in danger and they could die because of something that you maybe you're stronger than everybody, but you can't be everywhere at
Yeah.
the same time. Or maybe some characters just want to do things on their own. Or I've noticed that as well. The ones that are really good have a grounding force. Maybe the character isn't all powerful, but there's something there that makes it seem like there's a struggle.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say there has to be a struggle. I think just because the human experience is struggle filled, and people watch these shows to kind of escape, so they want to see. So this person is doing a literal fantasy where it's like a dream, like everything's great, I'm just getting everything perfect. Instead of what people, when they try to escape, is more catharsis that they want, not necessarily a dreamscape, and you're not getting that catharsis. So
Yeah.
it's like.
Like there's no dilemma. There's just a problem that you solve by clicking yes or no.
Yeah.
That was easy.
There's nothing stopping. There's no actual obstacle. Like the wall that's coming up to us has a door. Like it's a bit too easy.
Yes.
That happened with a manga I was reading where it was about a guy who was reborn into another world. I don't remember the details of why or how, but he was a necromancer. And at the beginning of it was very good, where he had to figure out every single thing that he had to take over, he had to kill it first. So he had to fight some really strong people with weaker abilities, and he gradually got stronger to the point, though, that he became basically a demigod. And it seemed like every situation he just already thought about the solution. Every single person he came across, well, you're not stronger than me because I've got like the divine wind sword from 1305 and it one-shots anything.
Wow.
And I feel like a lot of them go that route because there's escapism and there's total escapism where it's almost like it's a dream. So they show the beginning of the character suffering a lot so that you relate. And now here's the power fantasy, but it cuts off all realism because now you're just imagining you wish you could do that.
Yeah.
But I really feel like the best ones, it keeps a tether there of realism where, yes, I relate to this person, but I still relate because still things aren't going your way despite having all this power.
Yeah. Like there needs to be a problem that they don't suddenly come upon the exact same thing that they need right at that moment to fix, type of thing.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the mind of people who don't understand. They're maybe that person is going through something and they really just wish things would be just easy. Because I understand and have thought the answer to my life is to just suddenly have $1 million and suddenly know everything, you know, like no problems. But like, and I think people who go towards retirement, that's what they want, no problems, and they think that's going to be happiness, but then they die. Like it's like scientific. Like people, if they stop working,
They die sooner.
they die sooner because they literally have no meaning anymore. And struggle is meaning as much as we don't like it. But it doesn't have. It doesn't mean it has to be like the bad struggle. Like the beginning struggle. That's why it's like, oh, we're not gonna be through this forever, right? Because we're gonna have different struggles when we get bigger and stronger. But different struggles, not no struggles. And I think maybe some people just don't understand that psychology of human nature and human experience.
You see, I agree with you, but the weird thing is they're still popular, right? So for the most part, people are reading these things.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, it makes me think that everyone really does just want a dreamlike state of seeing someone beat up everyone else, and it's really just supposed to be a simple thing. Because at the end of the day, manhwas and mangas, they're meant for, younger guys. It's not meant for someone who wants to read necessarily a realistic story.
True.
Yeah.
So pure power fantasy is really all they want to see, because they wouldn't keep making them if they weren't selling, right?
Yeah, that's true. But I guess that's what's keeping them B tier.
Yes.
Because the ones that make it A tier, S tier are the ones that break the mold.
They're the ReZeros.
Yeah, the ones that are like, I know this is what you want, but this is what you need.
Yes.
Pretty much, yes. Spectacular.
But I mean, we are hitting time here, so I think we should cut there. So guys, thank you guys very much for being here. Please let us know your thoughts down below of the things we're talking about, especially the Patreon things. But thank you very much for being here. If you like your time here, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to see more. Remember, you can see 2 weeks ahead with Patreon down below. But thank you very much. See you in the city. Goodbye.
Bye.